Hi friends, this is Bijou Baker. I'm Maria. She's back and I can't wait to dive in again. Thank you. First off, thank you for your condolences and for your warm wishes and for your patience. Jump to it. Let's just get right in. We're going to make a bread. It's one of my favorite things to make because it's so easy and it's fun. It's a fun bread to make. It's Foocaccia. Really? It's Foocaccia. I know. Simple ingredients, I think maybe 6, 7, I don't know. This is a garlic rosemary, and forget the flavor, the smell of it in the oven. So breads, this particular bread, I'm not going to break down the whole bread life and why you use this flour and that flour and what's strong flour versus bread flour and all-purpose flour. As we get into each particular bread, I'll break that down to you. Should I do a whole video just on that? Okay, maybe, but that's a lot. So this bread, it's a fun and easy. The only other really easy bread, easy, is just a regular white loaf. And it is easy and it is fun to make, and you're gonna get, success with it, which is, we'll do that. But when I don't make the loaves because they're hard, unless you have a bread cutting machine like at the stores, you're not gonna get very nice even cuts because it's so soft. But that's what makes it so good. So I usually use that dough and make little rolls. That way I can just open it up and put the butter on it, and who are we kidding? That's really the only purpose for rolls. Hot out of the oven with butter. All right, so let's just dive in and start. Forgive me because I'm still working on, I have to go to physical therapy for my shoulder, because my arm, because I don't get the movement. It's like, wait, no, I don't have a question. I'm trying to reach something. So I don't have the movement. Ordinarily, I would make this with my hands just because I like to knead, and I like to do it with your hands or with a mixer. It doesn't matter. So your choice on that. I'm going to use a mixer because right now I'm weak. And even to adjust the camera, I didn't even dawn on that, but it's higher. So, all right, shut up, Maria. We only want to watch the bread. I get it. The very first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to activate the yeast. I'm going to get it to bloom. Now, this process right here can be a whole video. I'm not going to do it. This is salt, yeast, and sugar. The yeast feeds off the sugar. The salt will kill the yeast, so you don't ever want to bring them in contact, like put them in together, the salt and the yeast. Keep them separate until they know how to behave, and then they'll work. Otherwise, the salt, it will kill the yeast. So I'm putting in the sugar into the water to kind of sort it a little bit, dissolve it, and then I'm going to sprinkle this on top. And it's going to sit for about 5 to 10 minutes, and it's going to bloom. What that means is that the yeast is going to start eating up that sugar and get fatter and fatter, and then it's, in about 10 minutes, it's going to look like brain. That's the best I can do. So this is going to sit for a minute, and I'll show you what it looks like. In the meantime, in my stand mixer, I'm going to be using the dough hook. Now, I know this sounds really silly, and for those of you who do know this, please bear with those who don't, because at one point you didn't until you did know this. So this is a dough hook for your mixers. You have the paddles, which is good for like cakes and cookies and stuff, and then the whisk, which is good for whipped creams and meringues and stuff that you want to get in a lot of air. I've had several questions, and I forget that I do have new bakers. So as I use each one, I promise you, I will tell you the purpose of each hook, of each attachment. This one here is specifically just to knead the dough. It's going to kind of just wobble it around instead of mixing it like this, the way the spatula will go. It's just going to kind of like hook it and grab it and hook it and grab it. So there you go. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to add my salt, I've got flour, salt. I'm going to add fresh rosemary. Now you don't have to use these spices and these herbs and whatnot. You can omit them or change them or whatever it is you like. And I'm just going to give them a quick mix just to incorporate them. So the salt inside here will not affect this yeast. Just so you know. All right, you just kind of want to incorporate it. So when this is done, I'm going to add a half a cup of olive oil. This is the one thing I love about this bread, is the way that it's cooked. So you're going to use a whole cup of olive oil. Half of it's going to go in here, and the other half is going to go in a cookie sheet, and that's where the dough is going to cook in. Is that just already not delicious? So let me show you this. Hopefully I can show you well. You see that? See how it's kind of looking like brain matter? It's not quite done, but it's, when you're doing this and you're going, it doesn't look like brain. Don't worry so much about that. It's still feeding. It's still doing what it needs to do. If yours doesn't look like mine, that's not going to mean a whole lot. So don't worry so much about that. It's just feeding off of the sugar. And so just so you know that it's not that big of a deal, mix it. You know, it doesn't matter. You just want to feed that yeast. Also, while I'm waiting, I want to talk to you. I'm going to put garlic in here. Now, the great thing about living in a little old city like Buckeye, and it's not that little, so I'm not quite sure about this, finding fresh rosemary is so hard. Today, I could not for the life of me find fresh garlic. What are you going to do, right? I could have left it out. However, if you're cooking and you don't use or know about this, I'm going to use this. It's garlic paste, and it is fresh, and they did all the work, and I get to just squeeze it, and I'm good. They have this in lemongrass and cilantro and basil and so many different spices just ready to go, and you literally just squeeze it in, and it's fresh. You can smell it. So that's what I'm going to use because I didn't have access to fresh garlic. Otherwise, I would have, because this is a good bread. When this is not going to change the flavor, I promise you. If it was anything else, I probably wouldn't use it. This is the only other thing I would use in place of fresh garlic. And they have it a little bit bigger chunks and whatever, so check out your grocery store. Look for it. It's pretty kind of neat. So I'm going to say we're done here. I'm good with this. I saw enough brain, so I'm going to do this backwards. I'm going to squeeze in some garlic. I don't know, a couple. I really like the taste of it. I know that was a lot. Garlic and about a half a cup of olive oil. Pretty good. And all of that goodness. And I'm just going to put it on medium for about 5 minutes. All right, let it work. Just so you know, I lowered it. The other one was too high. This is good. I want all the dough to get into one ball and pull away from the sides. And it will clean itself up. The sides will be clean on its own. Okay, that's been about 5 minutes, and you can see that the bowl is pretty clean. It looks rough, and it looks like, man, there's no way that's gonna be right. It is clean. We like that. Some breads that we make, they're not going to be clean. They're going to be very sticky. So I am going to knead this for a little bit. You can see what does it feel? It's very heavy. It's very heavy. You can see how it's not coming together like all this part here as opposed to this part here. Well, this is what I want. This is what I want for the whole thing. So I'm going to take a little bit of flour. Sorry, I was not prepared. and I'm gonna knead it. Maybe, let's just start off with like 3 minutes or so, and that's good. So what I'm doing is, when you're kneading dough, you're gonna take the ball of your hand, you're gonna pick it up here, push it back, smush it down, and slide it. See how it looks like I kind of ripped everything? That's the gold. That's what you want. Pick it up with the ball of your hand, push it down, and slide it. You're gonna do that for the whole thing over and over, and that's a good knead. So let me just finish this up. Okay, and again, you bake your bread bakers, please just bear with us. So you see how smooth this is coming? That's very nice. But here, it's still a mess. This part, you have to kind of manipulate it. So I'm still gonna do this. I'm just not gonna stretch it so deep and so far. This is gonna make it come together. So a little bit lighter, a little more gentle. See how it's breaking up like that? That's all right. We're still working on it. I'm kind of covering it, still kneading it, but I want one solid ball. My shoulders sure feels that. Okay, this part, don't worry so much about it. That's essentially what I was telling you to do. This is what I'm looking for. Let me just make it prettier. So in bread making, you have a time where you proof it, P-R-O-O-F, and make it raise, and then you're going to prove it, the second proofing. As we know it, you know, you make the dough and then you let it rise for an hour. Okay, that's proofing. And then then you cut your dough and then you let it rise for an hour. That is proofing. So just so you know that there's a difference. This is good. I am happy. Let's get the pan. I meant bowl. So I'm putting this in a glass bowl just so you can see what's happening here. And that liquid in there, that's oil. So you want to oil. Oh, I got a little bit too much. Let me just get rid of this because this is a bit too ridiculous. I think I just got happy. I was in the kitchen again. So get up the sides because you don't know how big it's going to get. And put your dough in there. All right, so for the proofing with an F, this is gonna sit till it doubles in size. I put it on top of my oven. My oven's off. That's a snug fit. Probably should have used a little smaller bowl just to make sure it overlaps and that there's no air. There is no air here, so I'm okay. All right, so let this rise. And it's funny because right now it's pretty firm, it's pretty solid. And you're thinking that's not gonna turn out right. It's not done. The yeast isn't done working. So let this sit and I'll be right back. Alrighty, you see how much it's proofed with the F. And does it matter really? No, it doesn't. You know what you're doing, you know the steps, so you know the first one is proof, the second one is proof. In the end, you just want what you want, so don't worry so much about it. I tell you this in case I say something and you question, did she say this or did she say that? I said this. All right, cookie sheet. This is a quarter sheet, cookie sheet. Pour in oil. Let's say about half a cup-ish, okay? This is the part where it gets fun. And this is the part where pudgy fingers come in handy. All right, We're not gonna knead this anymore. This dough is done and it is as happy as can be. So I'm going to take this out. It's so, oops, warm. And I'm going to just spread it and stretch it. Don't want to poke it through. This is probably not the smartest top to have worn for this. So let me just fast forward this because this is essentially the only thing we're gonna do. Let me show you. All right, now we play. See this hole? Don't worry so much about that. We're gonna take this and stretch it. You could flip it around if you wanted to. It doesn't really matter. But since I've got my hands all oily, I'm not going to undo this. But you know what? Let me flip it over, just so you can see that it doesn't matter. Big old hole, Maria, come on, jeez. All right, fine. Sorry, I probably, the way I edit my videos, I do this stuff and then I take it apart later on, but I've stopped the video so I goofed. All right, so stretch it. This, I'm sorry, it's just so much fun. Okay, and now you're gonna just kind of poke divots in here. That's why pudgy fingers are kind of okay. So for dinner, I'm making my incredible meatballs. They are the most moist, the most moist meatballs in the world. They just literally melt in your mouth. Below here is a link to that. You'll probably really want to try it. It's fantastic. With spaghetti meatballs or meatball sandwiches, or I'm telling you, just the meatball itself. That's a lot of times I have to make a lot just to get enough meatballs, because people always want to nibble on them right out of the oven. All right, so I've got some nice deep divots here. So I'm gonna prove this. Let me wash my hands and then I'll explain it. What's gonna happen is I'm gonna prove it. Second proofing, whatever verbiage you wanna use it, because you know what's at task. So you take, if you're going to be really getting into breads, I would really recommend you maybe go down to your bakery or the grocery store that has a bakery and ask for one of these poly bags. It's one side's open, the entire full sheet will fit in here. I'm not using a full sheet, but this is where I do my proving. Sorry, I'm not giving you a great, I should have a camera way up high so you can see. So this is gonna go in this bag. And I'm gonna put in a lot of air. You see what I just did? See what I did there? Okay, so now I have all this air. It's gonna sit like this until it maybe doubles or so. And then I'm gonna come back one more time, poke it a little bit, drizzle some more olive oil on there, a little Bijou salt, which by the way is below this video. It's just a salt, my version of like Mrs. Dash, but it doesn't have preservatives and it's just good. sprinkle it on there. A lot of people will want to make designs on their focaccia. Knock your socks off. I'm not that person. And then we're gonna bake it and eat it. One thing I do want to mention is that at this proofing or proving, I'm gonna just say proving so you know what I'm talking about. On this one, you really want to make sure that the plastic does not touch the dough, which is why I put the air in there. From this point on, the dough can and does get tacky. So if you put this on top of that tacky dough, it's going to stick and stretch and kind of ruin just lots of stuff. So just so you know. All right, this baby is done. It's nice and full and thick. I'm going to give it a couple of pokes and then drizzle in some more olive oil. However much you want. I mean, this part is just like, it's an olive oil bath. Who doesn't want that? All right, and a little bit of sexy salt. This is Bijou's own. This is just to give it a little snap. You don't have to use it. There's a link below on how to make this stuff. It's fantastic. This goes in the oven, 350 for 30 minutes. We will be back. Alrighty, 35 minutes later, and I've got this beautifully golden browned focaccia bread. All the olive oil has been scoped up into this bread, and I'm telling you, this is one of those that you don't even need butter with. Who are we kidding? I'm still gonna have butter. So as soon as this cools though, because it is too hot to eat, but as soon as it cools, I'm digging in. All right, I'm gonna just cut off a piece here. It's still hot, but obviously I don't care. Ugh, the smell of that garlic, man, I'm telling you guys. So earlier I had, while this was baking and doing all the other things, I'd made those meatballs earlier, and I threw together a marinara sauce. Super good, super easy. I think I'll do a video on that because it's so easy. And this is probably all I'm gonna have for dinner. And I say I don't need pasta because I really just wanna drink this up. Oh my gosh, can you see that? You see how flaky that is? Buttery. Well, it's not buttery, it's olive oil. Still good. I'm not here to mess around. Too hot to eat. But in the meantime, I will tell you. So below is the video for these meatballs and for my marinara, which is, this is very close, and this is Cheater's style, which I'll show you one day because it's still so good. The one I make makes like 2 gallons, 2 or 3 gallons, and it's a process, but it's so worth it. And this. So you got the meatballs, that video is down below, the marinara, the sexy salt, because you'll want that because it's just a great salt. Oh my God, it's so flaky. Look at that. Can you see that? In or out, in or out. 1 or 2. I had my eyes checked, can you tell? That garlic and that olive oil does such great things to this crust. I'm diving in. I'm not even gonna clean up. I'm just gonna eat this right now. Give it a shot, guys. I've missed my kitchen. I've missed you. I'm glad we're back. Okay, my friends, until next time, happy baking.